Hello everyone, welcome to the Manga Cavalcade podcast. Now this isn't the podcast, don't worry, I just wanted to give a heads up. I had some balancing issues with the audio, and I had to do basically a lot of work to actually fix the audio. So if you hear it be a little bit grainy or a little bit messy, that's me trying to fix the balance, because my music was too loud and you could barely hear me. I just wanted to give that heads up before we actually got into it. Without further ado, enjoy the podcast and enjoy. Okay, so welcome back to another episode of the Manga Cavalcade. I am your host, Ichi, and today we're going to go ahead and talk about Ichi the Witch. Actually, you got bad about Ichi's Peak Icon. Yes, we are talking about Ichi the Witch. I actually just Jesus Christ. I just read it. I sat down and read the preface. I haven't read anything. I read the first 7 or 8 chapters, which is pretty indicative of the first volume. Hence why we're talking about the first volume of it. I have a lot of thoughts about Ichi the Witch. First real big thought that I have for it, man. First of all, yeah, I'm just gonna jump right into this because there's honestly a lot I want to talk about. First of all, this manga is so fun. I didn't really know what to expect. I thought there was gonna be a bit more of like a seriousness in a sense of just it's, I think because when I read the beginning, I heard the premise of it's the story of how, magic in the world is usually broadly self-controlled by women. And so, all of a sudden, now that there's this man that's appeared that could do magic. And so, in a sense, I was just okay, there's probably going to be, I assumed there was going to be a thing of okay, maybe we're going to actually lean into the commentary of things, or we're actually going to do something in terms of something like that. And I initially thought, okay, we're probably gonna go ahead and actually maybe address that. No, this manga is goofy as shit. And I actually really like that about this manga. This manga is really goofy, and I appreciate it for being as goofy as it is. I was definitely not expecting the level of goofs and gaffs that it was. I could give you some background on the writer Ichi, a fan of her other main series, Welcome to the Demon School, Imranku. Oh! The creator of Ichi the Witch did Welcome to the Demon School? That's cool! I haven't properly read that, unfortunately. Watched that, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure that series already has some stuff. I will say this. I was a bit hesitant on watching Welcome to the Demon School. It didn't look like something I was going to be super into, but Ichi the Witch was something I'm definitely more into. If that's the same creator that made Ichi the Witch, that does make me a lot more interested to actually go and watch that anime. Because Ichi the Witch was super fun. I love Ichi. I love his presentation in the manga, where he's this kid who was abandoned in the mountains, for all of his life. And I thought that would make him more into an aggressive, not super aggressive, but way more hardened. But he's really lighthearted, he's really goofy, he looks at things very black and white. And normally that could be kind of a not okay thing. It depends on how you do it, because there's obviously situations that could be complicated. But his way of looking at things in the world is very interesting. I love his moniker Death by Death, which I think is very interesting. Of just oh yeah, if you don't impose harm on other people unless it's absolutely necessary, then I have no reason to really hunt you. But if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, that's where all care for what you are as a person kind of goes out the way. I am someone, that's actually very close to how I look at things, so that was really cool for me. Now, Umaruku is pink. I will admit, I never gave Umaruku a chance. So unfortunately, it has been a while since like I actually was willing to check it out. But knowing that that's the same creator, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm actually way more willing to give it a shot. And who knows? Maybe I'll end up watching the manga at some point this year, and I'll make a review because I put out reviews every week on the channel, which is nice. Not this channel, my main channel, but it also should be posted in the bottom depending on where you're at. Well, you're on Twitch, but I usually link it to the main channel. But yes, I like Ichi. I like the way he like looks at the world. It's both whimsical but also kind of brutal at the same time. Where it's just like, yeah, if you're like not kind of a threat and you're just doing things for the sake of, for like the purpose of survival, and there's actually a purpose to what you are doing, yeah, that's fine. I have like no real problem with you. But if you do things just for the sake of doing them, I'm gonna not be okay with you, and where I'm gonna hunt you down. And like, your right to really complain to what I do to you goes out the window. Which again, I fuck with that. I fuck with that mentality so hard. Ichi, it's very early to say, but depending on how they take his approach with him, Ichi might actually be somebody who I would consider one of the top like shonen MCs out there. Because he's really well written. I like his approach. I like his personality. I like the way he looks at the world. He's also just adorable to watch. And his partnership with Dresscasa, I think that's how you pronounce her name, or Dresscasa. I'm not 100% sure. I love her as well. Dresscasa is great. I love her personality so much. It's also pretty goofy, but the more you read, the plot gets more relevant, and you have to really start paying attention to the details. Nishi Sensei, known as the female Oda, basically things and characters that seem insignificant in the beginning become extremely relevant later on. I can kind of see what you mean by that. And I apologize for anybody else and any people watching the VODs or the YouTube video I'll upload for this if I'm going all over the place. I understand what you mean by that. We all just call her Des for short. Thank you! Oh god, I was like, oh my god, I have to say Dresscasa, I don't know, or Dresscarasa, I don't know how to pronounce that. Des is so useful. I'm so glad I could just call her Des. That is so helpful. That is actually extremely helpful. Ichi and Des are such a good pairing. But I do want to touch upon what you were saying on like the little things. I can kind of already see that aspect when it comes to how Ichi. So there's two things that I've noticed, and this all kind of happens once Ichi and Des make it to like the main city, so he can go through the evaluation, right? Where when Ichi's taking the test after he took the oh my god, I forget the lightning fox's name, but he uses his power because it's like, oh yeah, you need to say the incantation in order to attack the target. But instead of attacking the target, he attacks the ceiling. And like the girl who's analyzing him, the analytic witch, I forget her name, I'm so sorry. But the analytical witch is like, hey, I saw that you attacked the ceiling instead of the target. That was on purpose. What'd you do that for? And Ichigo is basically saying, well, like, there's like this murderous intent that I felt from, the ceiling. So it made me feel kind of uncomfortable, and anytime I feel like this like sense of unsureness or unease, I have to go ahead and attack it. Like my focus is on that. And then the other thing was mentioning the fact that Shirobadana, who I think, if you help me out here, I think is the person who is the analytical witch, is like the second time I noticed that, like, oh, little detail stuff. It's like, oh yeah, I'm the analytical witch, and like it's like if basically whatever I say, it's never wrong. Of course, it's never wrong. And I'm like, You know, seeing all the stuff that I consume, that it's either doing two things. Either it's completely, yes, that's correct. Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate. I do 100% appreciate the help a lot. But the two things that I noticed for it is that either it is them basically cutting through the bullshit of Ichi, of being like, listen, we could go through the rigmarole of whether or not him taking the Magikin King makes him bad, or if he's gonna be bad, or if he's going to turn bad. Let's just cut through the bullshit and basically say Ichi's not a bad guy, and he most likely will never be a bad guy in this series. He is just somebody who is going to hunt for blood, which is something I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Or it's basically telling us, hey, we're setting this up on the fact that maybe this character is either A, going to be wrong at some point, or going to be so off in like a sense of like a red herring, or B, they're lying in a sense and we're setting that up being like, oh yes, I never do this thing, I'm never wrong, and everything I say is basically accurate. I'm like, is that because your powers work that way, or the powers above you basically tell you to do that, or something else is happening? I'm already looking into it and being like, there are certain things I am catching that makes me do that. Either that, or I'm just overly paranoid for no apparent reason whatsoever. But also, apologies if I cough a little bit, or if I sound weird. I am finally getting over a sickness. I've been sick for like the better part of a fucking week. I had like a cough and sniffle, so apologies for all that. It's been rough. So the fact that I'm able to even yap and talk like this is honestly a miracle, if I'm being completely honest. Oh my god, again, sorry about that. So, okay, going back to the beginning, Ichi's presentation I really like and it's super cool. I assume at some point we will also run into the people who he also was trying to, who he was saying goodbye to at the village, where the people are like, oh yeah, we're going to take the test, or yada yada yada. So I assume Ichi will also be a part of that test at some point, or maybe he's such a special case they're like, you know what? Well, actually that's not true, because if you look at the pyramid, he's not technically a witch, but I think they would already at the very least put him as a witch assistant, I think, or like maybe not senior, right? Because he still has a lot to learn about magic, but but the magic that he has is so proficient. I would have to assume they put him maybe somewhat higher. Not sure if you knew this, but this is the first series in Weekly Shonen Jump history to be done by a female duo, writer and artist. Oh, that's actually super fucking cool. I didn't know that. That is actually super cool. Also, that makes me feel sort of a lot better about another thing I wanted to bring up, because I don't typically like to bring up other, like, not social political topics when it comes to stuff, but I know that like this manga has actually gotten like a really, really good reception, and so my thought process with it, but like my initial thought process, maybe I was being a little like, maybe I was just being a little much, if I'm being honest. But one of my initial thoughts for it was definitely, okay, so it's basically a world that's essentially dominated by women, and then all of a sudden, there's now this man who has taken control of one of the most powerful Magikins. I wonder if people are going to have an issue with that. And again, maybe I'm just being a bit schizo. So far, there doesn't seem to be the issue, and I think I would assume a big part of that is the fact that, like you said before, that this is a manga for the first time in Shonen Weekly history, that it is a female writing and artist duo, which I do think helps a lot. And I do like the way they approach it too, where like, rather than people either being mad or upset or confused, people are just like majorly fucking fascinated, where there's just like, oh my god, it's a male bitch? oh, we gotta dissect the fuck out of him. What does he do? What does he have? So much so that like the powers above basically had to put a no approach clause on him, being like, hey, listen, alright, I get it. This is probably like one of the most fascinating things to happen in Magic history. Just so you know, you don't fucking touch him, please, because that's not good. We can't have everybody trying to grippy grass this motherfucker and trying to use him. So they're very aware of like, okay, hold on, people are gonna want him in some capacity, which I don't know if that even makes him completely special, given the fact that like the King Magician, all that really what happened is the fact that, well, I guess actually he would have to be special, right? Because the King Magician did make his trial in the sense of like, oh, only a male can be able to like pierce through me or like be able to kill me. But even if that were to happen, it would be like the manga even states like, even if the male was able to actually kill the King Magician, it would be like a 0.00001% that any aptitude would hatch in. So obviously it's not a non-zero, but it's like this would have to be such a fucking phenomenon for it to happen. A few people did have that fear rated a little bit of the question chapter. No one has ever talked about that. You know what? Yeah, that was my initial thought. Like as soon as I saw that, I was like, it was one thing if it was like, oh, it's a male dude, but it's through banks and doing that stuff. I wouldn't have that like thought initially, but I did have that thought once it was like, oh yeah, she just killed arguably the strongest Magician, and now arguably has one of the strongest Magician powers, so it's just like, oh, that's not good. But like I said, the way that they treat it and approach it, they're just like, everyone's more fascinated than like worried or feared, which I like that approach. I think in that sense, like, obviously there are stronger powers that be that's like, hey, if anything would happen, we could just fucking kill him. That would release like Ouroboros again, which would suck. But if it had to come to that point, right? And so like, also I feel like that's also the natural conclusion is that, hey, there's this fucking boy who not only just killed the King Magician, not only became a witch, but like also became a witch and has like a weird high aptitude for actual magic. That needs to be fucking studied. What? Like, does that mean we could produce more male magicians? Maybe that will help our ranks. Maybe we could bolster it. Like, that feels like the logical conclusion that I feel like most people will come to. So I'm glad that is the logical conclusion that most people came to. Which I'm like, okay, that's nice. Like, yeah, everyone came to kind of the same conclusion of, hey, this kid is an anomaly. We need to study what the fuck this anomaly is. But yeah, with like the whole beginning, I think it was like a really nice introduction to just him and how he is and his ability. Des, man, you know what? I love the fact that this new gen era of manga is having so many cool black characters. We have Gashi Akuta giving us people like Jabber and the Black Girl at like the front desk. We got Sakamoto Days giving us some cool black characters. We have another character number 8 times that, which is fine. You don't need to be everywhere with it. And I think, dare I say, Ichi the Witch probably has given us probably the coolest black character so far in the game. Like, initially I was willing to potentially give that to Jabber. Now, depending on what you count as new gen, if we're counting stuff like Fire Force, that probably still goes to characters in that series. But like Des is fuck. First of all, again, love her personality. Love the way she treats fucking everything. She's so high and mighty about everything. And to be fair, she has the right to, because she is considered one of the strongest witches out there. So that's fucking cool. But I love Des so much. Des is fucking cool and chill, and Well, not chill. She's just a badass. She's just a full-blown badass, and I love it so much. And I knew that Ichi and Des was gonna be a good pairing after like Des was trying to convince Ichi while like the king watching with on the shoulder, like, hey man, like you sure you wanna side with these witches, dog? Like we could like pair up together and like, you know, we could just kill these witches, like I'm strong, you're an anomaly. Yo, we kinda have a good pairing. And Des is just like, oh yeah, I saw, like, you don't really have an aptitude, you don't really know much about magic, but like you are a hunter. And you know what? We do hunt Magickin, and there's some very strong characters, and this Ichi's adorable face just lighting up, being like, wait, I get to hunt monsters? More monsters like that? Oh, that's cool! And he's like, dude, no, I don't give a fuck, I just want to hunt some monsters, dude! And it's just like, wow, the super simplicity of just being like, it is the most male thing I have ever seen in like a recent manga of just like, I get to hunt stuff. Oh, I don't care I don't care whose side I'm on, I get to hunt shit, that's lit. This is 26-year-old who acts like Goofy Kino time for Ichi when Ichi doesn't listen. Yeah. that's another element of the pairing where it's like obviously you see everyone else and Des just everyone else that comes to Des is either treat her with respect or treat her like a superior, like being like, oh my god, it's Master Des. We must give our respects to her and how the way she acts. Meanwhile, Ichi, this bumpkin of a witch, is just like, bro, like, what are you talking about? This is some crazy as shit. I want to listen to you. I want to do this. What? So I like that a lot. I think that pairing's cool. It's always nice to get those pairings that are just like completely opposite of each other, because they either like bring the most entertaining aspects of each other, or they just say the most insane shit. And I love it so much, genuinely. Like I was instantly hooked on Des and Ichi the moment I saw them. It has been like it was like automatically off the rip, just so fucking good. Man. I do like the art for this. I will say, I think that's the one thing I'll say. The art for this manga doesn't really stand out as much as I thought it did. Because especially since like I looked at like a lot of the cover art for the volumes and all like the key visual art and stuff like that. I definitely sat there and be like, oh, this is like the key visual art shit looks like really fucking good. And I looked at the manga, and the manga's not bad. I want to say that right now before I say that. The manga is nowhere, and I would not say it's like visually bad. And to be fair, maybe I have to like go more into it, because for context, I am at the part where Ichi just got confirmed that he's good to go as a witch. They got him all set up with all of his things. They have like they have Team Death for the Witch Association, where it's oh my god, was it Kuguru? The girl who was part of like the research team was going to take notes on Ichi, so it's like her, Ichi, and Des who are going, and they like just left to go hunt down. It was either the shark Magickin? I think it was like the shark Magickin. So like I sat there and I was like, okay, there's nothing that necessarily stands out. Actually, no. You know what? I take that back. Like, the overall art itself is like, okay, yeah, no, it's good, but like, you know, it doesn't really stand out. They do an amazing job with the fucking clothing. I need to point that out. Like, in terms of like background and like actual physical character designs, yeah, they're fine. They're like good, but like they're not like too poppy out. They do some cool things with the witch stuff. Let me say that right now. The one that I say that most for, because like that's cool and other witch cool, but that water witch in the beginning, who we saw, the one that's like talking to Des through like the mirror, she has a great design. The fact that her whole motherfucking outfit is just water is sick. Now, is that gonna lead to some extra lit stuff? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. But she is actually so fucking cool, and I love the way that she fucking looks because she looks awesome. You have to read more to definitely get a better grasp of the art style. Let's see what Usazaki should do, especially when it comes to fists for Ichi. Oh, the fix for Ichi. Yes, I will say that I am early, so I am going to hold because like we've only technically really seen one fight. That's why I'm like, okay, we've only like seen Ichi kill the Majin King, and even then, that's not really a fight. It was more of just like, oh, I trapped you, so and so like we haven't really seen like what they could do for the action skills. So I will hold any sort of like judgment and stuff like that for later on. I'm not gonna say anything too too wild on that regard whatsoever. Oh, I do want to talk about the power system because I feel like this maybe it's just because I'm like starting it up again, and also I plan on seeing like the movie soon, but like this I wouldn't say maybe not similar, but this I've seen it a little bit more in shonen, where like the power system of like basically monster capturing and like taking that power, like I wouldn't necessarily be would I? At least power system wise, this somewhat feels like Chainsaw Man, but I don't know if that's really like kind of dealing with the service, because I'm thinking of more of just like, okay, the Magikins sort of kind of feel like devils, but instead of being manifested off of fear, they're just creatures that exist, which I think is a better spin with better aspect on it, because when I sit there and I'm like, okay, yeah, like when it comes to the way that what Chainsaw Man does it, where it's like, oh yeah, it's the devils, and it like, you know, it like they get powerful the more that they're feared. The Majikin are more interesting, mainly because you could give them a lot more. I feel like you could do a lot more with them rather than them just being like the concept. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at the current fucking state of goddamn Chainsaw Man Part 2 right now. Like, everyone who I have talked to and everybody who I have, like, tried to express, like, hey, man, what do you think of, like, this? What do you think of that? Like, what's the feel on, like, Chainsaw Man Part 2 right now? Everyone has basically said, brother, I have no idea in my fucking life where that manga is going right now, and honestly, I feel like that is so fair to say, given all the crazy shit that I have seen from that fucking shit, from the snippets, which I don't blame. Each of which I think leans in more to them being their own things and giving them their own structure power rather than them being attached to like the fear-based stuff for Chainsaw Man. Especially since like we get into the lore of like, oh yeah, we Magikins, we've been here for thousands of years. We used to live peacefully. That was until, like, you know, humans decided to thrive and stretch out, and now, like, we're just kind of being hunted and shit like that. And obviously, the Magic King has a bit, he has a bit more, trying to preserve himself, which is, like, understandable when you're put in that situation. But I'm also very interested in the sense of he's definitely in it for himself, but how much of him is actually true and how much of him is like how much of him is true and how much of it is lying. I don't know if that makes sense to say. Lucy said in an interview that the series are inspired by Pokemon, specifically in fact Capture Sakura. Yeah, you know what? That makes a lot more sense. I can see that in the sense of like, oh yeah, we are going to capture monsters and stuff like that. I'm just thinking, I didn't say it was like inspired to Chainsaw Man. I just think Chainsaw Man is like the closest thing comparatively to it in terms of power system. Not in terms of like lore or writing, because that would be fucking insane. But in terms of like comparing it, because it's the same thing of like, hey, you hunt down a devil, you get a devil, you become a fiend. You hunt down a Magikin, you get that Magikin's power. You hunt down a devil, you get that devil's power. So in the sense of like that I would put him simply, but I definitely see how like something like Ichi the Witch could be inspired more in the style of like Pokemon and Card Capture Sakura. Definitely Card Capture Sakura, since that is more of like Pokemon is the sense of like, oh yeah, I captured them and I used their power. But I feel like from what I remember, Card Capture Sakura is more of like, oh yeah, like I captured a monster, but now that monster's more power is like more in my arsenal, and now I can use it when I'm fighting. So I could see them, which is really cool. Man, honestly, thinking about that really makes me think how cool a video game for Ichi the Witch would be. Of like just expanding into the world and making it like an MMO. Where it's just like, oh yeah, like you have this like set Magikins that we could give you, like blah 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 blah. Like that would be such a good. That would be such a good game. That would be such a good game. But regardless, oh man, I'm trying to think if there were like, oh my god, was there more I had to say? Like, I really like this manga. Like, I did read like the first couple of chapters. I feel like I should have read more, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I think when I read this, I think reading Corey's manga, The Monsters We Make, I think he added a lot more to his first volume. Or maybe I needed to read more, if I'm being completely honest. Because like I'm sitting there and I'm trying to think of all the things that like I want to say myself, but honestly, off the bat, like, other than like getting to the minute details of like talking about them going into the city and all those interactions and all that stuff, like, those are at least like my big initial thoughts when it comes to Ichi the Witch. Like, I thought I at least have like an hour of stuff to talk about, but honestly, no, I really like this manga. This manga's fun, man. This manga is super fun, it's super good, it's super amazing. Like, I genuinely love it a lot. I am very happy that I decided to pick up this manga, because I've been sitting on it in the back of it's just been in the back of my head, in the back of my phone for like the longest time. And like, I'm just happy I picked it up. I'm happy I picked it up, and I'm happy that I decided to do it. This is really fun. I honestly don't know what I was expecting. I think I expected it to be a bit more serious. But I do like the goofy nature. I think the goofy nature gives it a bit of a charm. I feel like if it was serious, it would have been good, but I feel like it wouldn't hit as hard. But like, given that Ichi is such a like naive person when it comes to the world and all that, I love it. I guess I can talk about like speculation stuff that I can think of. Or at least the direction I think the manga is going in at this point. And I think it's hard to say just because I don't have enough information, but I think just given, I don't know, typical story beat stuff that I know, I would probably say that, like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ichi is a lot straightforward when it comes to things, but I also feel like, you know, the Witch Association is probably hiding something. Like, I can believe that an organization or like an association like this is probably hiding something about the greater uses of magic. Now, do I think it's to the extent of like, oh, we're preventing males to like do that? You know what I could see, actually? You know what I could see? I wonder if like, even though he stated that, and like, you don't know if you could take like the logic in his word, so he could be lying, he could be not. Something interesting is, you know what, I'll lean into it. I'll go back to it actually. I wonder if it is a situation of just like, no, the Witch Association is turning, like, the Witch Association is preventing men from being able to use magic. But it's for like a particular reason where it's like, no, you don't understand. We are preventing men from using magic, and we're keeping them from using magic. We're doing it because the Magikin are actually the men. Like It's so outlandish. I have no basis for this. Please keep in mind, I have absolutely zero fucking basis for what I just fucking said. But like, I feel like that could be something that's interesting, but also at the same time, I don't know how the fuck you even go down that route. But I don't even know if I fully agree with myself. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even know if I fully agree with myself, because that is such an out there wild fucking statement to make. So like, alright, that's just more shooting from the hip of just like, oh yeah, maybe I could just fucking fucking shit. So don't. I am just yapping for the sake of yapping at this point. Overall though, man, I'm not gonna lie, I really watched this. I really enjoyed this. Like, this, Ichi the Witch would probably be in my main manga rotation. I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna start in, and I don't have many. I think right now, like, my main manga rotation, I have, like, Berserk, Blue Lock, and, like, what is it? Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, just because I didn't get, like, something that's happening with. But, like, Ichi the Witch, this might be it, man. This is really good. This is really, really good. Like, it's crazy to look at it, too, that people say, like, oh, you know, shonen, like, the weekly shonen stuff is such a bad state. There's not really any manga that is standing out. Bro, are you serious? With this shit out? With Ichi the Witch? Dude, this, like, this is gold. This might be the next, like, super big thing. Because, like, obviously there's some of the new gens, the fucking Hell's Paradise, the Kaiju number 8, Danadon. They're all getting their animated anime. They're doing all that stuff. They're not gone yet. But, like, in terms of just, like, the manga for the manga fans type shit, and I know there's already been through talks of Ichi the Witch already getting, like, a potential adaptation already. But, like, dude, Ichi the Witch, that shit is really, this shit is really good. This shit is really good. And I feel like I don't see many people talk about it. I see, like, a few people, but, like, not the clamoring that I feel like this manga deserves, personally. Like, I feel like this deserves, way more love. Way more love. Like, this needs extreme love. This needs extreme, like, yeah, we're talking about this, like, every single fucking K. People making theories and shit. Or maybe not. Maybe after making this, I'll be, like, pushed to the ethos of, like, where all the Ichi the Witch fans are. Which is my kind of hope that I'm hoping for. But this manga is really good, man. It has some serious fucking shit to go. And honestly, I after this stream, I'm probably gonna read the whole thing. This will definitely, I can, you know what? I can officially say it. This will be the first manga that, like, we cover monthly. We're gonna have those monthly wrap ups. This will be it. This is gonna be one of those first ones. So, like, don't be surprised if, like, end of November we're talking about some manga that this is a party for. Because oh boy, this is good. This is really fucking good, and I really love this. I really like this manga. It's really good, man. Oh man, you know what? I wish I had more to say, and I wish I could make this live stream more. Like, I fucking can't. I wish I could right now. I fucking can't. I can't. I cannot think of much to say, ladies and gentlemen. Because honestly, I am still kind of sick. So, I think this is a good stopping point. And I also think the We Make Monsters manga definitely made me a bit more, made me underestimate volume sizes. So I think from here on out, I'm just gonna pick a series and I'm just gonna read it. And I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, we're talking about chapter this to chapter that, or like maybe I'll find like a good stopping point at some point and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Many mangas don't actually have that size. They might be as small as like Ichi the Witch, where it's just like, yeah, we went through like 7 or 8 chapters, but also at the same time, what the 5. But I will definitely be going back to Ichi the Witch. Ichi the Witch is going to definitely be a monthly recap of the mangas that we talked about. So, You watch out for that. We're definitely gonna come by. So don't be surprised by the end of this month. You know, it's like about like 2-7 August. This month is gonna be. This line is gonna be in that. But yeah, that I think it's gonna do it for this stream. I think it is gonna do it for this stream. My apologies for it being so short. My apologies for it being so out there and so last minute. We should be back into the schedule next week. I feel better about streaming, or at least like being sick and stuff like that. So I feel better. So we should be going back. We're still working on the reduced schedule, so we should be back. We should be doing our thing. Let me know, obviously, in the comments below what you guys want me to read next. We're gonna have a poll up on the channel of like, hey, what's the next manga you guys want me to read? What's the next manga you guys want me to talk about? Trying to make an interactive community as best as I can, man. So go ahead, check that out. Give that the love. Again, sorry for the short stream, sorry for the short podcast. That's kind of my fault, but I didn't have that much, and there was not much content. But do please go ahead. Check out the people check out the fam and check out the corp at Affinity Cast. They are the reason why I put on the podcast. They are the ones that help put on the podcast. They are wonderful people. They are lovely people. So please go subscribe to their channel. Subscribe to the main channel. And if you want to go ahead and check me out, and all the anime I do, we upload weekly there doing reviews. We actually just put up a review talking about the underrated, giving out another monthly series that we're doing right now, where it's giving out underrated anime reviews. We do we got 5 on that, so go check out which 5 we just like to talk about. And yeah, just go ahead and spread the love, man. Do that. Alright, I apologize for the short stream. I apologize for the short podcast. I will promise you know what? I will promise you guys that by the end of the month, we will have so much more to talk about from Vtubing. But now that it's in the rotation, and now we got a manga that's in the rotation of stuff that's going to be put in that monthly manga recap. Boy. Oh, I'm going to binge the fuck out of this, and we're going to talk about so much Ichi the Witch. We're going to know about so much Ichi the Witch, and I am so excited for it, actually. Like, 100% I am so fucking excited to see more of this manga. But anyway, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for discussing. Thank you all for commenting. Special thanks to Janice, Mary, Audie. You are cool. Thank you for joining me while I've been yapping about Ichi the Witch, and I hope that you will come back when I do the monthly recap. We will be talking about Ichi the Witch more in full. But thank you all again. I appreciate you all. I hope that you guys have a lovely day, evening, night, wherever you are, and I will see you all with the next one. Adios, arrivederci, and bye.